In the autumn of 1988, in a quiet logging town in the Pacific Northwest, a 6-year-old boy named Leo chased a red balloon out of his backyard and into the dense woods. His mother watched from the kitchen window as a small figure, wrapped in a bright yellow raincoat, vanished into the trees. She expected him to return triumphant, but he never did. The balloon was found the next day, tangled high in an ancient cedar, but of Leo there was no trace. It was as if the forest had simply swallowed him whole. The search was frantic, but they found nothing. No footprints, no scraps of clothing. The mystery of his disappearance became a wound that never healed for the small town of Silver Creek. A cautionary tale whispered through the years. Before the silence, Silver Creek was a town defined by sound the roar of the sawmill, the rumble of logging trucks. The Sterling family, John, Mary, and their son Leo, lived in a small blue house right where the town met the untamed forest. John was a logger, quiet and kind. Mary was a painter who saw beauty everywhere. And Leo was a child of the woods, his imagination as boundless as the forest itself. He knew the trails. He was adventurous, but cautious, and always stayed within earshot of his mother's call. The forest was his magical playground, not a place of fear. The autumn of 1988 was beautiful, a time of simple, quiet happiness for the Sterlings. But beneath the surface, old stories lingered, tales of people who ventured too deep into the woods and never returned. On the day Leo disappeared, the sky was a brilliant blue. Mary had given him a red balloon, a simple gift of pure joy. It was a perfect autumn day, an ordinary day, until suddenly it wasn't. The afternoon sun cast long shadows as Leo chased the red balloon. Mary was at the kitchen sink, listening to his happy shouts. Then, a few moments later, she noticed the silence. A silence that felt wrong. She paused, listening for his footsteps on the porch, but there was nothing. A knot of unease tightened in her stomach. She walked to the back door. "Leo?" she called, her voice calm. The silence that answered was heavy. She stepped onto the porch, scanning the empty yard. "Leo, honey, it's time to come inside." Her voice was louder now, a note of urgency creeping in. Still nothing. A cold, sharp fear pierced through her. She ran to the edge of the woods, her heart pounding. "Leo!" she screamed, his name tearing from her throat. The forest offered no reply. The search began almost immediately. John rushed home from the mill, his face a mask of terror. Neighbors poured out of their homes. As dusk fell, the woods filled with flashlight beams and the sound of a single name echoing through the trees. Leo. They combed the area, but their hopes dwindled with each passing hour. A cold, steady rain began to fall, washing away any sign he had ever been there. The next morning, a volunteer spotted it. The red balloon, high in the branches of an old cedar, a heartbreaking splash of color against the gray sky. It was the only clue they would ever find. Of Leo, there was nothing. No footprints, no torn clothing, no sign of a struggle. It was as if he had simply ceased to exist. The days that followed blurred into a nightmare of searching, of waiting, and of a hope that slowly, cruelly withered away. The official investigation yielded nothing. K-9 units lost the scent right at the edge of the forest. The case was eventually classified as a non-family abduction, but with no witnesses and no suspects. It was just a theory to fill the void. For Silver Creek, the forest, once a place of beauty, became a source of fear. The Sterling's blue house became a silent monument to their loss. Mary stopped painting. John threw himself into his work. Their shared grief was a chasm that separated them. A year later, a retired schoolteacher stumbled upon a newspaper article from 1928. It told the story of a 7-year-old girl named Sarah who had vanished from the very same area under eerily similar circumstances. She was playing in her yard and simply disappeared. The search for her also turned up nothing. A faded photo accompanied the article, showing the grim-faced search party. And in the background, high in the branches of a cedar tree, was a small, dark object that looked strikingly like a child's toy. The discovery sent a chill through the community. Had this happened before? The old case files offered no new clues, just another ghost to haunt Silver Creek. The coincidence only deepened the mystery, adding another thread to the town's tapestry of loss. The forest remained silent, its ancient trees standing as witnesses to a tragedy that seemed to transcend time. Years turned into decades. Silver Creek changed. The sawmill closed, and new families moved in. Leo's story became a local legend, a ghost story for campfires. John and Mary eventually moved away, unable to bear the constant reminders. But the forest remained, a timeless, enigmatic presence. The ancient cedar, the one that held the red balloon, still stands. And sometimes, on a quiet autumn afternoon, people say you can still see a flash of red in its highest branches. A trick of the light, a lingering memory, the ghost of a color that shouldn't be there. It's a reminder of the boy who chased a balloon into the woods and never came back. The truth of what happened to Leo isn't buried in a case file. It's in the rustling leaves, the whisper of the wind, the deep, abiding silence of the woods. It's a mystery that was not meant to be solved, but to be carried. This story is a work of fiction, but it reflects the haunting nature of real-world mysteries, where the answers, and those we've lost, seem to vanish into thin air. Thanks for watching. If stories like this capture your imagination, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next exploration into the unknown.